Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our webinar, Advanced Placement Exams to Take or Not to Take. My name is Yulia Husin, and I'm here in my office with my two helpers. I have Jason and Ji-Yoon, who's going to help me deliver this webinar. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. But before I begin talking about particular logistics behind AP exam administration, AP registration, I just want to make one big comment. The reason why we're delivering this webinar right now in September rather than in February is because College Board came up with 3 changes to the whole AP registration process. First of all, it moved the registration process to fall. So our webinar is today. Today is Tuesday, September 24th. On Friday, this coming Friday, September 27th, all parents will receive a really big detailed letter from our office with precise instructions on how to register for the APs. So number 1, AP registration process was moved to October. Number 2, the registration process itself became a little bit more involved, and we'll go over it in the webinar. And number 3, College Board implemented really severe penalties for canceling or changing your exams. That's the reason why we are talking tonight rather than in February. But so let's just begin with the whole entire why APs, what's APs, and why should anybody pay $94 per exam to take APs. So as you can see on this slide in front of you, APs are not designed to help students be admitted to domestic colleges and universities. In other words, if you're absolutely certain that your child will never apply to, let's say, a college in England or a college in Scotland or a school in Canada, then taking AP exams at the end of senior year is very typical procedure that happens and should happen to your student. So majority of students in the United States of America take AP exams in May after they were admitted. And the reason for that is the purpose for AP exams is actually college placement. It's not college admission. So the AP exam credits will allow students to skip introductory level courses, and instead of, let's say if a student takes AP chemistry and gets a 4 or 5, that student can go to college, and instead of being in chemistry 101, the student can be in the chemistry 201. So this is really, really important to remember. So students take AP exams to demonstrate knowledge of certain subjects that will help them then be exempt from introductory level courses. Students do not take AP exams to help them being admitted to domestic colleges and universities. However, if you are a Canadian citizen, and we have once in a while we have students with Canadian passports, or if you think that your student is adventurous and will be applying to a college abroad, then taking as many AP exams as possible should be your student's goal, because the evaluation by foreign universities is based on exams and exams only, including APs. The things to consider, though, before you spend, like I said, $94 per exam is the question number 1, am I prepared or not? And then we'll go over the slide for you to gauge your student's readiness for the AP exam. So the AP exam should be taken at the end of your student's coursework. In other words, if your student is enrolled right now, let's say it's a sophomore, it's enrolled in English, like all of our students are enrolled, your student should not be taking AP English. Your student should be taking AP English in May of your student's senior year, because by that point, your student will complete already 6 classes in English. Number 2, does it conflict with our personal commitments? Sometimes there are some weddings or some travels that family plans in May, and the AP exam days are set by the College Board and cannot be changed by IMSA. So the AP weeks, there are 2 weeks this year. It's going to go from May 4th until May 15th. And here's a good example for you to use. So for instance, on Friday, May 15th, College Board tells us to administer statistics AP, which we will clearly, and we cannot move that date to anything. But also, May 15th happens to be IMSA prom date. So even though we will make every single possible arrangement for your student who will be, let's say, taking the AP statistics in the afternoon, by the way, it's not a morning exam, in the afternoon, and afternoon exams start at 11:30. And then, get on the bus and go to prom, but your student also might want to, prepare for prom and get the hair done and get this and that done. So don't forget about the other commitments. And then number 3, does my college will my college accept or not the AP exam? That's why majority of students, like I said before, usually take AP exams at the end of their senior year, because by that time they already know which college they will be attending. So it makes it a little bit easier. However, since the process of the registration now, it's moved to October, it's impossible to predict which college your student will be attending, even though your student might be a senior. So the best way to do is probably to go by U of I. U of I is a typical state school, so knowing which exams are accepted by U of I will give you a sense of what other state universities might accept AP exams. But here's a good example. Caltech, for instance, does not take a single AP exam. So your student right now might be applying to Caltech, but clearly your student is not admitted, and you don't know if your student will be attending. But just let's pretend for a second you're going to spend right now $94 per exam, and it you will end up with your student attending Caltech. There are no refunds because there are huge penalties for canceling examinations that are school-based. So we do not offer any refunds, and then you will be stuck with all this money spent for a college that does not care for any AP exam. So those 3 things for you to keep in mind as you are right now will be pondering whether or not to register your student for the APs. Now here we come to probably 2 most important slides of tonight, and they will give you an indication of, they will answer the question whether or not your student is prepared to take an AP exam. And by the way, there's no need to take any notes. We post all of our webinars on the CAC website, so I will be posting this webinar, if not tomorrow, then definitely on Thursday, so you always can go back and watch it again. Anyway, so chemistry, you really truly should finish advanced chemistry sequence, not organic chemistry. So if your student is enrolled in organic chemistry right now, or was enrolled in organic chemistry last year and decides now to take the AP exam, your student will not be prepared. It's advanced chemistry that prepares our students for the AP chemistry exam. And the same goes for AP. So I'm not going to read back because you all see it. So there's physics, mechanics, there's electricity, physics 1, physics B, and then biology. So the biology thing is kind of a tricky here. So according to the IMSA biology team, a student really truly needs to take just SI Bio or ABS, and half of our students take SI Bio and the other half take ABS, then take any biology elective, but then a student also needs to self-study. So biology is a little bit more involved than chemistry, whereas with chemistry, it's a little bit more clear-cut what needs to be done. And here's the second slide with similar information. So it's about mathematics. So we have calculus, we have statistics, we have computer science. As I already mentioned, English language and English literature should be taken by seniors only, and French, Spanish, Chinese only by students who are completing the highest level possible. So that's how we will help your student determine whether or not he or she is ready. At the same time, your student should definitely have a conversation with the current teacher if your student is confused or not sure. And the current teacher of that subject will know exactly, will give an answer to whether or not the course materials prepare your student for the AP exams or not. So registration process, this is also very, very important. But this is going to be another slide. There's going to be, I'm going to talk a little bit more in great details about the registration process. So first of all, any IMSA student can register for any AP exams. We do not limit our students. We do not forbid them from taking an AP exam. However, because we have such a limited facilities for administering AP exams, and because we do not cancel classes during the AP 2 weeks, which usually happens at the regular public school, we really truly demand that a minimum of 10 students must be registered for any given AP exam for us to run it. In other words, for us to sacrifice or to give the classroom for the AP administration. So the 10 minimum enrollment is a must. Number 2, IMSA utilizes a platform. It's called Total Registration. So every single IMSA student who is thinking about registering for the AP exam absolutely must register on Total Registration and then turn around and register on the College Board. Now, like I said, I'll talk about it a little bit later. And IMSA students and their families take full responsibility for paying for the AP exams with an exception. So if your student is a recipient of a fee waiver 1 or 2, then your student qualifies for a fee waiver reduction, and your student will only pay $53 rather than $94 for each AP exam. But otherwise, it's very expensive. Okay, so this is really super important. Please be on the lookout this coming Friday, September 27th, on the lookout for an email that will be sent by the IMSA registrar. His name is Mr. Ruel Abraham, who's going to send you an email with this document attached. So what you're looking right now is a document. And the document is going to give precise instructions and links on how to register for the AP exams. The AP exam registration is going to begin on October 1st, which is going to be a Tuesday, and it's going to go all the way until October 15th, which is going to be another Tuesday. And after that, we will give another week for parents and students to submit their payments. And the payments can be submitted either via via check. A student will, so all the instructions will be in this attachment, via check or a credit card. We cannot accept any cash. So that's another thing that you need to keep in mind. So one more time, on September 27th, which is this Friday, an email will be sent from our office with an attachment. Please don't disregard that email. Read the attachment carefully. And attachment is going to have detailed instructions as well as the links. And the AP registration process this year involves a two-step. It's a two-step activity. Number one, you need to register on total registration, turn around and register on the College Board website. Otherwise, you will not be able to take AP exams because College Board is trying to mainstream everything and needs to have access to our rosters. So it's really, really important. All right, so here are the due dates again. So October 1st, registration starts. October 15th, registration ends, and everything is online. And on October 15th, websites will be closed. So you need to really, truly register your son or daughter for the APs during those 2 weeks. The payments will not be due until October 22nd or any time between then and October 22nd. And then I will purchase all of our AP exams right around November 1 because we will be completed with our registration. And after that, College Board does give us a window until November 15th to alter our exam registration. But after that, there will be a $40 penalty for any changes to the AP exam registration. That $40 penalty will be in addition to paying $94 original dollars for any APs. And then finally on May 4th, May 15th, we will administer AP exams just like we always do every single year. So that date did not change. So the May 4th to May 15th, the date stays put. The AP exams will be given on those days. It's the registration process that was moved all the way to fall from spring. All right, so here's our probably our last slide. I want to make sure that I leave plenty of time for questions and answers because that's the whole point of the webinar, so I can answer your questions in person. But keep in mind, so just kind of see. So if thinking about should your son or daughter take an AP or not? So yes, clearly, if your son or daughter is prepared, which usually means a senior or a junior after completing advanced chemistry or some physics. Very, very few sophomores take AP exams. I want to say in any given year we have no more than 2. They usually take it in calculus. So do not register your son or daughter for AP exams if you think it's going to help your son or daughter with college admission process for domestic colleges and universities. However, if you are confident that your son or daughter will be applying abroad, then yes, please do register your son or daughter. Clearly, every single student is going to use the advanced placement exam results to be placed in appropriate college level course in college, and that happens in the summer. So the way that it usually happens, our seniors are done, graduate. Here comes June. They know their AP exams. They need to log on into the College Board website and then pay money to the College Board to send their AP exam results to the college they're attending in the fall. And then the college will use the AP exam results to place them accordingly. However, if you are, but like I said, the fourth bullet really truly does not apply to anybody because nobody knows at this point whether or not he or she will be attending Caltech or Caltech type schools that do not take any AP exams, but then you're going to be feeling kind of stuck in a way, and there's nothing we can do about that. All right, so hopefully I did not speak too fast. This was our last slide. So right now, Jason and June are going to turn on our chat box, and I will be more than happy to take as many questions as you have and clarify any misunderstandings or any confusion that might happen in the process. So we just need to wait just a little bit, and then I will see the chat box, and you can write your questions right now. Just a little bit longer.
We have a question.
Yeah, but there's a question?
Yep. So does IMSA coordinate study groups, or is that left for the students to organize?
Oh, the question, so I cannot see them on this one? No? Okay. Let's see if I can see them on the screen, otherwise you can read them out loud to me. Oh, here we go.
Starting right here.
Okay. Does IMSA coordinate study groups or is it then left to the students to organize? Well, there's really truly no study groups for AP exams. So for instance, in BC Calc and AB Calc, in those classes, they do lots and lots of AP type problems. It's part of their curriculum. I think they devote the whole entire spring to that. But since IMSA curriculum is not AP driven curriculum, we do not, IMSA teachers or CAC office does not organize any study groups or anything like that. Does IMSA help to prepare the students for the AP exams? So you need to go back to the two slides that I shared earlier. And on those two slides, I talked about the coursework and how it relates to the AP examinations. None of the IMSA classes are AP-driven classes. However, since our classes are very, very rigorous, by default, our students are usually well prepared to take APs, but you really truly need to finish the sequence that is laid out in two slides that I already spoke about. And like I said, so when I will post this webinar, either tomorrow or Thursday, you will be able to see those slides again. If AP exams don't help college admission, should we send or not send available AP scores to colleges when we send official SAT scores? You really truly don't have to do that. So none of the AP, like I said, a typical IMSA high school, a typical high school student in the United States of America take AP exams, all of his or her AP exams, usually at the end of senior year, a typical one. So the colleges will not expect to get AP exam results. Not all high schools administer AP exams, so they cannot really penalize a student for attending a high school that does not administer AP exams. So AP exam results are not factored into the college application process for domestic colleges and universities. However, if your student is applying to a college in Canada or England or Scotland, then yes, absolutely, you should send every single score you have for your student. Do we have actual data from the past IMSA students where a student didn't take any AP exams but still got admitted into elite schools? Okay, so as I already talked before, so make sure that you separate the two concepts. AP exam results do not help students be admitted to a college or university, period. Period, they do not. What a student needs to do, student needs to take SATs or ACTs or subject tests, whatever the college requires. In this case, somebody wrote Stanford. So there's no correlation between taking AP exams as a sophomore or junior and then being admitted to Stanford, because Stanford will never see those exam results. And Stanford's not going to care for the AP exam results. Okay, historically, the IMSA students do well in AP exams. Yes, historically they do, and you don't have to take my word for it, but you can take the word of our profile. So tonight, when we're done with our webinar, everybody should log on into IMSA website. Under academics, you will see the link for the College and Academic Counseling website. And there, please click on the profile. You will see the 2019 profile, which is not for this class. It's not this year's class yet because we're putting it together yet, but it's for the previous class. And you will see results for the AP exams that we administered in May of 2018, not 19, because our profile is a year behind right now. So you'll be able to see for yourself how well our students do on AP exams. That's a good question. If looking to study abroad, which AP exam should be taking? Any and all, because the foreign universities have no other way to evaluate students' academic preparation, because curriculums vary from high school to high school, from state to state. Grades, fluctuate between being inflated to not being inflated. So foreign universities put every single, they rely 100% on student testing. So just take in any subject you feel your student thinks he or she is prepared in. And again, refer to the 2 slides that I showed previously. While students have access to tests from previous years to help them prepare study. Yes, College Board every single year releases previous year's exams, not previous, but let's say 3 years back exams, and every single student can use College Board to prep for the AP exams. And in fact, our students like AP exams so much that they take AP exams, let's say, in psychology, and we don't even teach psychology. And clearly they prep themselves online. So because we don't prep for any AP exams. So yes, the answer is yes. You can look at the past AP exams. Let's see if I can see any more questions. For some reason, I cannot see any more questions. That was the last question? It looks like it was the last question. Let's just wait a little bit longer just to make sure nobody writes. So let's just go over it to make sure that I did not confuse anybody. So the AP exam dates did not move. They're still going to be, we're going to still administer AP exams in May, and it's between May 4th and May 15th. What moved is the registration process. So the registration process moved from February to October. So this Friday.
Hey, IMSA, come on down to my school-wide birthday party in the ACC pit.
Wait, Viva, it's not your birthday party, it's the FBLA GA. Same thing. Come down at 5:30.
Okay, sorry, we had an announcement here right now. What's changed is the AP registration process. So this Friday, September 27th, we will send an email, or our office will send an email. Mr. Abraham was going to send an email on our office behalf with an attachment that must be open and read. And that attachment is going to have links and detailed instructions on how to register for the AP exams. And the registration process is going to start on October 1st and it's going to end on October 15th. So this is really super important. We have a couple more questions. Let's see if I can answer them. Would you be able to show how to get to IMSA profile? So to get to the IMSA profile, 3 easy clicks. So again, you're going to get on the IMSA, you're going to click on academics, and then on college and academic counseling. And you're going to see the link right there. It's going to say 2019 IMSA profile. So click on that link. So 3 clicks and you're going to get to the profile. Are most of the juniors not ready for APs? So the AP chemistry usually is a junior, so advanced chemistry is usually a junior level course. So I want to say 90% of students who take AP chemistry are juniors. 90% of students who take biology are juniors. So those would be the probably 2 most popular AP exams that our juniors take. Okay, let me see what else. Okay, just the students will not be penalized during admissions if she does not take any. Yes, absolutely. So the AP exam results are not factored into admission process, period. Because some high schools don't even administer any AP exams. So a college cannot possibly penalize a student for attending a high school that does not have AP curriculum or does not administer AP exams like IMSA does. So AP exams results are not factored into admission. However, they're factored into placement. So when your student becomes a college freshman and sends his or her AP exam results, then your student will be placed in, let's say, Physics 301 instead of Physics 072, or, post-calculus instead of calculus, or calculus instead of pre-calculus. So AP exam results are used for college placement instead of college admissions, with one exception, and only one exception. If your student will be applying abroad, then AP exam results will be factored into his or her admission process. Okay. If a student takes AP exams that does not do well, does that negatively impact his or her admission? Okay, as I already said before, there's no correlation between admission and AP exam results. If your student is going to take, but let's do a scenario, your student take AP chemistry and got a 2. Just don't release that AP exam result to university. So then your student just simply needs to start with chemistry 101 instead of being in chemistry 201. But it's a good thing because your student then will get an easy A. So releasing AP exam results cost money. It's just like when you send your SAT or when you send your ACT, and a student is in control which AP exam results student sends or doesn't send to colleges when a student becomes a college freshman. So there's no danger there. So if you're gonna, well, the danger there, you're gonna spend $94 for nothing, because $94 is $94 after all. So, but that would be your loss, not necessarily a student loss. What AP classes do? Seniors. The seniors typically. I couldn't understand what SL stands for. So sorry. A typical senior will take English. We have students who gravitate toward English language or English literature, depending on how well they like the subject. A typical senior will take a foreign language. Seniors usually take calculus-based physics, because that's a senior class usually. So they would take the physics calculus-based. So that would be a typical senior scenario. Is AP result help for scholarship application? Not at all. There are no AP results are never ever factored into any kind of admission or scholarship considerations, because not all high schools administer AP exams, and colleges or scholarship corporations cannot penalize students coming from those districts. Okay, let's see what else. Maybe that was it. We just wait a little bit longer. Well, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. Once again, like I said, I will try my best to post this webinar as quickly as possible. I'll send an email right away, so then you can log in and watch it again. Any AP exams sophomore students typically take. Like I said, so out of 220 something sophomores we would have no more than 2 sophomores who would take AP exams. So those sophomores usually take them in calculus. So usually it's the sophomores who come to IMSA at the high math level. A typical sophomore does not take any AP exams at IMSA. So there's AP computer science. Yes, there are following 2 exams for computer science. Our students always take AP computer science. We do not administer AP computer science principles, because that particular AP exam requires a portfolio that needs to be submitted way prior to the exam. For that, we need to teach that class. We do not teach that class that allows a teacher and a student to submit a portfolio. So we do not administer AP computer science principles, because the students are never qualified for that exam. Because the whole examination, actually, it's a submission of portfolios throughout the school year. The exam is not as meaningful as that. Can the sophomore who is taking computer science inquiry take AP computer science? Yes, I mean, a sophomore can. He won't be prepared. You will need to take another computer science course. But so many of our sophomores are so savvy in computer science that they do. But what needs to happen, if your student is in computer science inquiry right now and is interested in taking computer science exam, your student needs to talk to his or her teacher and see how well he's prepared without any additional further preparation. Okay, so the only reason to take the AP for domestic schools for college course placement, yes, that's the only reason. So then your student will not be stuck in introductory level course and can be take more rigorous coursework. Yes, absolutely, that's correct. College Board awards AP Scholars Award for scoring 405. Why would that not be considered by college admission? Well, that's a good question. So there's a disconnect clearly between College Board that really would like to have your money and would like our students to take as many AP exams as possible, and then they give them some designations. There's AP Scholar, there's AP Scholar with distinction, there's AP Scholar with honors, but then colleges turn around and say, well, we don't care. So you are correct. There's a disconnect between the College Board, which is business, they're making money, and college admissions, which does not take that into consideration. Yep, that's just the reality of our life. Let's see if there's any other questions. Thank you so much for having such meaningful questions. Okay, very good. So somebody said thank you. Well, thank you for tuning in. So like I said, I will post this webinar shortly. We'll send an email very shortly. I want to thank my Ji-Yoon and Jason who are here helping me. I think we are done. Thank you very, very much, everybody. Have a good night.